Welcome to Influence Matters, the show that teaches you how to turn your story into impact and your expertise into influence. I am your host, literary consultant, and hybrid publisher, Clara Rose. Each week, I talk about topics covering crafting your message for the world and building influence for your business, ministry, cause, or brand. Sometimes, though, I bring a guest who I think is doing something unique that I think you're going to be interested in hearing about. And so I bring them on the show. But either way, if you are building a business, ministry, cause, or brand, you are in the right place, my friend. Now, today I do have a special guest for you. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a functional medicine health coach. She is a best-selling author, and she specializes in helping successful women between the ages of 40 and 60, so I still technically qualify, who are struggling with hormone, mood, and gut imbalances to heal naturally and gain 3 hours of energy daily so they feel fantastic. She is the founder of the Thyroid and Hormone Solution Program, say that right, which has helped hundreds of women beat Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, insulin resistance, anxiety, hypertension, brain fog, weight gain, and so much more. Please help me welcome my guest, Amanda Hinman. Are you with me, my friend?
I am. Yes, Sarah.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be
Welcome to
here.
the show. So, wow, the things that you do that you help women with, those are life altering, life impacting things for sure. So does usually the bio gives like high level, what else do you do that is important for my listeners to understand about what you do?
Really help women understand their bodies and to be empowered and work with their body collaboratively, and get out of the place of feeling frustrated, feeling disgusted, feeling overwhelmed, or even resentful. Many women, when they first come into the work with me, they've struggled with weight gain or insomnia or moodiness, other health challenges for a period of several years. And many times I've seen many doctors, they've been to their endocrinologists or their functional medicine doctors, even their naturopath and nutritionists, and they still haven't yet found contentment, found sustained energy, found, you know, acceptance with their body. And so I help them not only learn and understand what's going on in their bodies, but have a simple, practical system of daily habits that they can put into practice and feel fantastic.
So why is it that they've gone to doctors and even, naturopathic doctors, and why is it they're not getting answers? What are you doing differently that the doctor's not doing for them?
Great question. I actually think it's the combination of type of support and the skill set that I am able to help offer, because I have a medical, the side of the functional medicine piece. So I understand the dynamics physiologically with how hormones work in the body, how they're related to nutrients, our digestion, and our immune system health, and really bringing that like complex language into layman's terms that your typical woman can understand and make sense of and have clarity around for their body. And then actually, I have a deep knowledge and a lot of history with the mental emotional side, really recognizing how our thoughts and our beliefs shape our emotions and our perceptions, which have a ripple down effect. So when we think about from a hormone axis, what happens in the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that interprets what we think and what we believe and what we see as how the world unfolds in front of us, affects our pituitary, which then signals to all of the hormone systems in the body, and that then cascades to signal to the adrenals, the stress response, the immune response, and then finally the thyroid, which is our metabolism. All of that is connected, but it starts with what's happening in the hypothalamus with our thoughts and our beliefs and our expectations. So I think a piece that I weave into the support and the learning is recognizing where women fall into the pattern of feeling frustrated, feeling angry, feeling resentful, and starting to bridge that, how that actually is having a physiological effect on their health, and then give them practical tools from using coaching and mentorship. Like, when you go to your doctor, you don't usually get, access to your doctor on a
Right.
weekly basis to have conversations about,
Right.
hey, what this, I was at a party and this, really triggered some of my frustration
Right.
that came up with my sister when I was talking. Like, that doesn't usually seem related to your thyroid, but it is.
Right. Well, you're lucky if you get, 5 minutes with your doctor, right? When you
Right.
go for your
Right.
appointment. They're gonna listen to your symptoms and then, usually prescribe you some sort of a drug and send you on your way, right? And then you're,
Mhm.
check back in 30 days or whatever. So it sounds like a very different approach to tackling what's really going on, which sounds so much deeper than, hey, you need a pill for your thyroid or whatever it is. Now, how did this
Yes.
happen? Is this decided early on, this is what I'm going to do? Did you fall into
No,
it? What brought
no,
you to
yeah.
this?
I actually feel like this was kind of a divine redirection in my life. Candidly, I was, plugging away. I have my original undergraduate degree was in accounting. So I was working as an accountant and had, four daughters and kind of just living life. And I was actually a group fitness instructor, so I've always been inclined to be interested in health and fitness and nutrition and that aspect more from a personal perspective. And then I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune condition. This was, oh gosh, almost 20 years ago. And at that time, I was angry because I thought I was checking all the boxes, doing the things that led to optimal health. I was eating salads and smoothies
Mhm.
every day. I was
Right.
working out, an hour or two every day, doing cardio kickbox classes. So on paper, I was
Mhm.
doing the things that lead to optimal health. And yet here I
Right.
was told that I had this lifelong disease and likely it would
Mhm.
advance and progress to additional autoimmune diagnosis. So I was angry. I was
Mm.
um,
Mhm.
really
Sure.
frustrated and felt powerless, to be honest. And then started working with a naturopathic doctor and a functional medicine doctor. And I did all of the fancy testing and was given a list of food eliminations and a list of about
Mm.
18 different supplements to start to take. And at that journey,
Mhm.
I dove in. I'm like, okay, I can handle this. I can do this. Let's heal this. Let's fix the problem.
Right.
No concept that this is related to the emotional component, the spiritual component that goes to health,
Mhm.
to healing, just kind of taking the action. And things got a little better for a couple months, but then they
Mm.
downslid and actually got worse. So I was hair falling out, I incredible moodiness. Like I would cry at the drop of a hat. I had weight gain, insomnia. So like the symptoms just kept ticking up, and I'm like, this is not working. So now resentment's kicking in because it's like I'm doing all the things, I'm self-sacrificing, I'm not eating
Right.
foods that I enjoy, taking all these pills, and it's not improving. So like, what's the point, right? That's where I went into what I
Right.
call why bother syndrome. And then that led me back to become knowledgeable myself. That's when I went back and became
Mm.
trained in functional medicine to
Right.
understand how the different body systems work together, the comprehensive nature and the holistic approach to healing permanently, and really had a deeper. I actually moved into like curiosity and appreciation of like, wow, actually, my body is trying to do the best it can given the environment that I've been creating. And I didn't know how I was actually sabotaging, like shooting myself in the foot in some cases, um, and totally unaware of it. So
Mhm.
that light bulb, that journey was what inspired me to be like, I'm sure that I'm not the only one out there. There's a lot of other women who have feeling
Right.
like they're doing all the things on paper and that yet their health is still in a bad place. It's not where they want it to be. So that really led me on the path to partner and collaborate with other women who are interested in
Mm.
learning, who really want to be empowered because they understand their body and they're ready to come into a relationship of collaboration with their body instead of frustration.
Mm. And so you kind of just guide them on this journey, right?
Yes,
That's
so
the
we,
thyroid
yeah,
and
exactly.
hormone solution program, right?
That's exactly what it is. So it's a 5-month program. Actually, the book that I write
Okay.
about is the program that I've been doing for over 12
Oh,
years. It's
yeah.
each month we do a different step. So step month
Mm.
one is looking at
Okay.
uncovering the root cause in your specific body. So looking at a combination of some functional lab work and some symptoms and your personal health history, we can kind of put all the pieces of the puzzle out on the table and say like, okay, what's at play in, Lisa, I'm thinking of my client Lisa, what's at play in Lisa's unique situation? Like, for example, for her, she had had a pituitary tumor that was enlarged and had it surgically removed and was put on prednisone, which is a glucocorticosteroid that suppresses adrenal function. So she had some interventions that overtly changed the way her body was signaling her hormones. No one ever taught her that this happened.
Interesting.
No one ever gave her guidance
Yeah.
on what types of modifications would be beneficial. So when she started putting on belly fat and had really low energy, it's like, well, that makes perfect sense because of this medication has these unintended side effects that were not explained to you. So here's how we can,
Right.
with them, to improve, right? So it's
Yeah.
month one is putting the puzzle pieces together.
Mm.
In the
Okay.
step two, we look at replenishing nutrients because every single cell depends on nutrients in order to function, to do the job it's designed to do. And believe it or not, oftentimes, even people who feel like their number one health goal is to lose weight, usually they're undernourished in certain key nutrients. The cells don't have what they need in order to charge up your metabolism. So they get the signal to hold on, conserve, don't let
Hold
anything
on.
go.
You're
Yeah,
starving.
exactly. Exactly. It's
No,
ironic,
I'm
right?
not.
'Cause
Yes.
yeah, it's like a mixed message, but that's usually what the case
Mm-hmm.
is. So we look at data and see what's actually getting to your cells. Do they have the nutrients that they need? No, they don't. Okay, well, no wonder. We got to give them those and then allow your body to kind of believe that it can trust to ramp up your metabolism. Step three, and month three, we work on restoring digestive capacity, what I call digestive fire.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, even like I was eating soup, smelly salads and smoothies, really healthy foods,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no idea that the stress that I was living under daily overtly, intentionally suppresses digestion and absorption. That's not an
Mm-hmm.
accident. My
Right.
body was telling my brain, deprioritize bringing in nutrients and absorbing foods.
Right.
We have to be ready to run or fight or flee because it perceived that I was under imminent threat just because I was chronically in negative states,
Right.
right? When you're in a negative emotional state, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling worried, when you're feeling scared, when you're feeling angry, all of those things, overwhelm, all of those things signal to
Mm-hmm.
the body physiologically stress, stress. We have to have a
Right.
backup fuel source because we may have a big demand that's coming. So I
Fight or
wasn't
flight.
able to
Right. We may have to
fight or
fight.
flight.
Right.
Yes, fight or flight. Exactly. Even if there's no physical danger, if there's
Mm-hmm.
a perception because of our thoughts, our beliefs, our expectations, it can still signal that fight or flight stress response. So I wasn't
Right. Because we're
digesting hardly
anxious.
anything.
Ah.
Exactly.
So malnourished, not digesting your food.
Yeah, and it's like no wonder that this isn't
Mhm.
working. And the step four is like, okay, now we've kind of brought a lot of ahas to the surface and clarity of like, wow, okay, I can really see what gets to shift here in order to start to create a transformation in your health. Well, then it becomes usually very evident that there are some well established ways of thinking and ways of habitually responding or reacting, I should say, rather than responding, that have to do with our brain and how we're wired. So month four, I call it reset your thinking. It's looking at the neuroscience and using
Mm,
brain science to help these women create some new patterns so that instead of
mm,
quickly being somebody who can fly off the handle and feel angry or overreact or cry at the drop of a hat because any little
mhm,
thing seems to set you off, you have that cognitive ability to pause and to
mm,
kind of create space between
mhm,
stimulus and reaction so that you can actually respond. And when we can rewire the brain to respond, that triggers that fight or flight sympathetic nervous system less
right.
frequently, which then allows us to digest and absorb more effectively, giving ourselves more nutrients so we can supercharge our metabolism back up, give you
Who knew
energy,
it was
everything.
so connected?
Yeah, it's all
Right?
connected, right? And
It's
then that
so
last step,
connected.
That's what I'm saying. So like I didn't have all the puzzle pieces together previously, and
Right.
that's what I bring to the table is really putting the whole connection and taking my clients through a journey so that they're not just left with
Mm.
here's what it is. Okay, go do it. That's, it
Right.
takes some practice. It takes
Right.
some feedback loops of like, okay, this is what I tried and this is what the effect was. Let's see if that's going to continue to work or do we need to tweak a little bit. Um, and
Right.
then step five, that last piece is what I call removing toxins. And it's interesting because I don't start with detoxification. A lot of times you'll hear the fad word of like, oh,
Right.
I'm doing a detox, I'm doing a cleanse, a juice cleanse, all these things. And,
Interesting.
and
Mhm.
detoxification can be really valuable for our body, for our liver, and for health and releasing weight or other things like that.
Mm.
However, if a person enters into a place of trying to detoxify, in other words, mobilize toxins that have been stored previously
Mhm.
in the body, and they're doing that from a place of weakness, inflammation,
Right.
malnutrition, that's only going to amplify the problem, right? So we want to
Right.
build
Make
some
you
strength, we want to get some good systems working,
uh,
and then decrease the total toxic burden on
right.
the body so that it can stay retain that and stay healthy for the
Mm.
long term.
So instead of kicking you when you're down, right?
Yeah,
Right. Here, let's kick you when you're down and see if we can fix you. Right. Well, let's make you stronger before we
exactly.
kick you. that
Well,
makes
because
perfect sense. But
yeah,
right?
we don't think
Nobody's
about
saying
that
it.
because it's yeah.
Mm-mm.
Well, I'm thinking of a woman, Michelle, I worked with. She came to me after doing, a juice cleanse detox, thinking this is the way that I'm going to finally like increase my energy and charge up my weight.
Mm-hmm.
And she, again, had a lot, she was missing a lot of specific fat soluble antioxidant vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin E are really important to
Mm-hmm.
help bring inflammation down in the body. She didn't know this, right?
Mm.
So she stepped
Right.
into a green juice cleanse, which is not providing more of those antioxidants, the fat soluble vitamins. And
Mm-hmm.
so her all of a sudden her skin broke out in hives. I mean, she was just
Mm.
literally like wired but tired. She's like, I feel worse if, like she didn't understand
Mm-hmm.
why it didn't work for her. And like it's not
Right.
necessarily that the tactic is bad, it's that it was not used in the appropriate timing or the appropriate, like your body wasn't a candidate for that now. So it's really helping women to, like I said, be empowered, understand what's going on in their
Mm.
bodies, and
Right.
create a game plan to set you up for success.
Wow. So it's interesting to hear you talk about the order of the well, a couple things I want to talk about, but the order in which you're doing things is not the way
Mhm.
that your doctor or the rest of the world. If you're like on social media or you're googling how do I fix what's wrong with me? We're
Mhm.
starting with the detoxing, and we're starting. We're some of the steps we're missing entirely, right? So you're just a completely different approach than what we've been taught forever, right? For years and years. So
Mhm.
I love that there's science behind it, so you can point to it and say, this system works because we're doing it the right way. We're doing five steps, but in the right order, right? So there's a
Mhm.
plan, and then something
Mhm.
that I'm continuously harp on to people: hire a professional, right? If it's not your wheelhouse, if it's not your superpower, whatever you want to call it, hire a professional,
Mhm.
right? To do it with you or to do it for you, so that you're not just
Mhm.
trying to figure it out on your own, right? I gave this example the other day. I was trying to fix some stupid Google thing. I wasn't working properly. It just had me in this loop, right? 2 hours, I'm stuck
Yeah.
in this loop. Well, and I'm Googling, right? Watching YouTube, it says, do this, and I'm doing it, right? And I'm stuck in this loop for 2 hours. And I finally just went, oh, for the love, and reached out to somebody who she's a professional. We have her on retainer, right? Could have
Mhm.
done this 2 hours previous, but I didn't. And she's like, oh, you just do this, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I did it and it worked. I thought,
Like, oh,
for the love,
yeah.
right? I spend all of my time preaching to people, right? About the right way to create a book to use as a tool, which I love
Mhm.
that you have created a book that you use as a tool
Yes.
in your business for change, because that's my mantra, right? That's what I'm constantly preaching to the world. Hire a professional to help you create a book to use as a tool for either lead generation or client transformation, right? It's a tool. Create the right tool. And so I love that you have created a tool that you're using in that way. So
Yes.
could you speak just for a minute to how the whole book thing came about? And then has that been pivotal or transformational in your business?
Absolutely. I'm happy to share because this is what your audience
That's
is
what I
most
do.
interested in.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love it. Well, and it's such I will totally agree with you, Claire. It's such a valuable tool. So I had been
Mhm.
working with women for over 10 years and had this process. Like it didn't start off
Mhm.
exactly like the beginning, but it's been honed over a
Right.
decade. It's what's effective.
Right.
And so I always followed the same process over and over. And I remember I started writing the book back in 2023, late 2022 is when I started
Mm.
initially writing the manuscript. Because I remember I had another colleague, a business bestie, who that's what she does is she helps
Mhm.
people write and publish their book as well. And she was always sharing,
Mhm.
she's like, you do important work like this. There's more people who could learn, who
Yeah.
could get to know about this process. And I'm like, I never
Yeah.
thought about because I only take a certain number of clients each month. I have a
Right.
limited capacity and how I work with
Right.
them very closely. And she's like, there's a lot of, and I'm like, you know what? There's a lot of great knowledge and inspiration and kind of moves
Mhm.
people to have a deeper level of self empowerment around their health, which is ultimately my mission. Like I said, I believe it was a divine
Right.
redirect in my
Right.
life. So why wouldn't I make this more accessible and available to people?
Right.
Plus, it has opened up doors for me as a business
Mhm.
owner and a thought leader in terms of speaking opportunities, in terms of
Mhm.
different relationship networking opportunities, and shared, like people have brought me into their organization to do lunch and learns and to different places because I
Right.
think even though the work I was doing before, there's an automatic credibility booster being a best-selling
Sure.
author, having my book up on New York Times,
Yep.
Billboard, like things like that.
Right.
It adds credibility to
Mhm.
somebody who
Yep.
may not necessarily otherwise be familiar with the topic or the genre as much. And
Right.
that has definitely brought clients because, as people have bought my book on
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble or found it, then they read it. A woman last week said, I read your book twice and I knew I had to work with you because she's like,
I
I
love
get the
that.
knowledge, I have the general concept, and just like you said, Clara, I want somebody to help guide me through this process. I don't want to try
Right.
and just figure it all out on my own. Even though I
Right.
have the framework, putting it into practice and
Right.
living it, there's another step of
Right.
support that I could use and some accountability as
Well,
I'm going through it. So yeah, it's been
yeah.
great.
Kind of accountability, but then someone to ask questions, right? Because
Yeah,
inevitably you can't put everything in the book, right? You just can't, right?
no.
So when somebody gets your book and reads it, they're like, okay, but what about this? Or I'm trying this and this is happening. What about that? Right? So having uh, accountability is of course huge, but having someone to that professional, um, that guide, right? That person to help you through the process. I think you just can't put enough emphasis on the importance of that when you're doing something that is new to you, something that's important to you. Hire a
Mhm.
professional. It's my I think you also need a workbook. This is my coaching ad. You need a
Actually,
workbook.
it's funny.
You
I
have a
have a
workbook?
workbook that I give to my clients. So
I
all my clients get a
love
workbook with all of the worksheets that we do. Because in this book, there
that.
is a QR code with a bunch of different resources and tools. Obviously, I
Oh,
go
I
more in
love
depth when I'm
that.
working with people, but there is
Of
definitely a
course.
workbook as that goes.
I love that. That's you don't know how happy that makes me that you have a workbook,
Oh,
because I preach that
yay!
constantly to people. I'm like, you know what? You have this great book that's great for lead generation, and it's making a difference in the world around you, right? You're creating transformation in people's lives through this, but that next piece, that workbook, to it's one thing to read the book, it's another thing to do the work, right? So that companion
Yes.
workbook or journal or whatever is so valuable. I love that you've done that. Okay, so we're getting low on time, but I want you to have an opportunity to say, if people are interested in getting started with you, how Should they reach out to you first? Do you want them to get the book first? What's the best course of action if they're like, oh my gosh, I think I need Amanda, right? What should they do first?
Yeah, great question. The first thing that I would say, you can always pick up the book and you can go to my
Mhm.
website, hinmanholistic.com. You can access the book to purchase and receive the free resources. But at a minimum, if you're not even sure if you want to, buy the book and start to read it, check where you are in your body. So I offer a
Mhm.
free hormone health assessment, which allows you
Nice.
to kind of mark down your top symptoms, and it maps those with the top 6 metabolic hormones: thyroid, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, insulin, and cortisol, and allows you to kind of start to pick through the weeds of saying, oh, what could be imbalanced in my body and my hormones? Where is it likely that my body is trying to, what I would say, throw up the red flares by giving us symptoms and say, hey, pay attention, look over here. I could use some support. So start with that free hormone health assessment that will allow you to have a framework of where's my body at right now, what's going on. And then, like I said, if you want to learn more about working with me on my website, you can also find a place where there is a button to apply now to learn more about working together. And once you click that button, there are a handful of questions for you to answer
Mhm.
so that I have context of understanding of kind of what's happened in your health, and what you're looking to
Sure.
get support around. And then we could set up a time for a complimentary hormone review, a health review. And this is just a
Nice.
brief
Nice.
conversation to kind of see, hey, kind of what's your situation, what's going on, what have you tried,
Mhm.
what's your health goals, where do you want to be 6 months from now, and why is
Mhm.
this important? And then I give an honest feedback of like, let's take
Mhm.
this a step further, and this is what next step would look like. Or I don't think I'm the best fit for you, but here's a recommendation of
Right.
where I would point you.
Nice.
To me, it's important that everyone has the best support for them, and I'm not
Right.
everyone's fit, so it gets to be like a win-win-win. Like I said, I only
Right.
have spaces for a handful of clients each month, so I want to make sure those
Right.
people, they're going to have great results. I'm going to love working with them, and it's going to be fantastic.
Right. And not everybody is a good fit for everybody. Like I probably
Correct.
weekly get calls, people, pitching me books or whatever. Uh, Fiction. Well, I don't do fiction, right? So, but until you
Right.
get on a call with me, you won't know that. And I mean, if you dug deep enough, you'd find that I don't do fiction, but most people don't. And so, like, hey, I have this fiction book idea, and I'm like, that's awesome. Let me point you, to somebody who does that because I don't do fiction work. So, I think that's important that there's that space to say, let's have a conversation and see if it's a
Yeah,
good fit because
definitely.
it might not be. It might be, it
Exactly.
also might not be. Plus, we have limited amount of space in our schedules. It'll help so many people, which is why having a book and a workbook is such a beautiful thing because you can help more people. I love that.
Yes.
Okay, we're out of time, but I just want to say thank you so much and honor you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and be on the show and just give some knowledge to my listeners. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. It was a blast.
All right, we'll see you soon. Okay,
Thank
guys,
you.
there you have it. Somebody who I thought you might be interested in hearing from, doing something unique. I think I probably need to go take the assessment and see where I'm at. But of course, before we go, I want to tell you if you are in that space where you are ready to grow your influence with the book, you can head on over to Facebook to the free Savvy Author community and answer a couple of questions, get into the group. I give lots of great free content there. Or if you're like, nope, I'm ready, let's go on over to clararose.com or craftingyourmessage.com, goes to the same place. Check out the Savvy Author Mastermind. It might be the perfect place for you. All right, my friends, I will see you same time, same place next week. Take care.